stole a car from each of them, and he left no traces. But Brooke figured out his pattern. She thinks the thief will soon commit new crimes. Mike, Colin, and Bill are at risk because they own very expensive cars. Whose car will the thief steal tonight? If you already know the answer, make sure to share it in the comments. Let's take a closer look at the order of the thefts. The colors of the cars match the colors of the rainbow: red, orange, and yellow. So Colin's green car will be the next target. Detective Brooke finds the criminal's garage and begins rummaging around. He has a secret door protected by a combination lock. There's a note with 4 images next to the door. Brooke thinks for a while, presses 4 numbers, and opens the door. What numbers did she press? If you nailed it right away, please let us know. The code is 2731. Each digit corresponds to the number of colors of the object in the picture. Brooke enters the secret room and sees 6 rings on the table. Try to memorize all the details, because you're going to need them later. Okay, now, can you find the rings that were not present in the original picture? Make sure to share your answer. Rings A, C, and F don't belong here. After a long day of work, Brooke is starving. She wants to grab something sweet, so she goes to the candy shop. Brooke has 3 options to choose from: cotton candy, a candy cane, or a candy apple. Which food is dangerous? Let us know in the comments. Take a closer look at the cotton candy. There's a tiny spider stuck inside. Yikes! As for the apple, it has a little worm inside. So Brooke should definitely buy the candy cane. Brooke is passing by the food court and spots 2 families. One of them is super rich, while the other one very broke. Can you guess who is who? Think carefully and feel free to leave your answer in the comment section below. Take a look at the second family. They don't eat this rotten food. The son is just taking pictures. Meanwhile, the first family shares 1 pizza and drinks water, which is usually free. And the mother's phone looks very outdated. Therefore, the super rich family is on the right. Brooke walks up to the diner and sees 6 different burgers in the window. Try to memorize them. You're going to need the details later. Now, let's take a look at the 9 images. Which of these burgers didn't appear in the initial picture? Give this video a thumbs up if you already know the answer. Burgers B, D, and E are all new. The next day, Detective Brooke receives a new mysterious case. Someone attacked Larry, the HR manager of a large international company. It happened about an hour ago. Brooke finds 3 suspects. The first one is Lily. She's an applicant who was a bit angry with Larry because he made her wait for ages. Lily stayed outside in the rain and probably caught a cold, but she says she didn't attack him. Kyle, the company's marketing director, attended meetings from early morning until lunchtime, so he claims he didn't see Larry at all. Jeff from the IT department tells Brooke that he rode his bike to a coffee shop to get his cappuccino. He returned just now. Who's the attacker? Hurry up to be the first to comment. Jeff. Both his bike and his clothes are dry and clean. How is that possible if it's raining? Jeff runs away. Detective Brooke starts chasing him. She ends up in a dusty basement. There are 3 tunnels leading outside. The first one is guarded by an invisible monster. This creature attacks anyone who dares to enter. The second tunnel is half flooded with poisoned water. Drinking it is fatal for any human. And the third tunnel is infested with mutant cockroaches. They can fly and bite people. Which way is more or less safe? Give this video a thumbs up if you already know the answer. She should choose the second tunnel. The water's only dangerous if you drink it, so Brooke can just walk through the tunnel with her mouth closed and be safe. The next morning, Detective Brooke enjoys a day off at the beach. Suddenly, she hears a quarrel taking place nearby. This lady claims that someone has stolen her phone. Brooke spots the thief right away. Can you spot them? This blonde lady stole her phone. She's taking selfies with her own phone, but there's another one hidden in her swimsuit. Busted! Hit the like button if you managed to crack this riddle. Brooke spots 6 parrots on a tree and takes a picture. She visits the bathroom and then returns to the same tree. Can you find the parrots that were not present in her picture? Parrots A, E, and F arrived just now. Was it difficult? Let us know in the comments. Detective Brooke receives an emergency call from work. There's a dangerous visitor from another planet hanging out at the beach. It can look like a human, so Brooke should be very careful. Can you help her spot anything suspicious? Don't forget to share your thoughts. This volleyball player has too many arms for a regular human. Detective Brooke is working on her laptop in a coffee shop. Oops, it's time to visit the bathroom. Brooke decides it's safe enough to leave her stuff unattended. But after going to the bathroom, she finds out that her backpack and her laptop are missing. Brooke runs outside and sees 3 elderly ladies with picnic baskets sitting in the park. She interrogates them, but the ladies swear they didn't notice anything suspicious. Miss Anderson has just joined her friends. Miss Smith is eating her sandwich and reading a newspaper, and Miss Gold is taking pictures of squirrels. But still, Detective Brooke arrests one of the ladies. Can you guess who? Hurry up to be the first to comment. Brooke's backpack was red, remember? There's a red strap hanging out of Miss Anderson's picnic basket. Ooh, busted. Detective Brooke comes across a poster with 6 animals: a cat, a camel, a cheetah, a chicken, a crocodile, and a pig. Which animal doesn't belong here? The pig. It's the only animal whose name doesn't start with the letter C. But if you have a different answer, let us know. Brooke receives a call from her best friend, Amanda. She suspects that her boyfriend, Will, has a secret from her. Amanda wants to access his laptop to investigate, but she doesn't know his password. Luckily, there's a hint note right on his desk. It says Apple, Man, and Dawn. Give this video a thumbs up if you crack this code. And the password is Amanda. Yep, her name is the code. Aww. Will was just preparing a surprise for Amanda's birthday. He took her on a romantic helicopter trip. But unfortunately, their vehicle broke down in the air, and they had to land on a tiny uninhabited island. The guys can't call for help. Their cell phones and radio don't work. There are no trees on the island, only sand and rocks around them, so they can't make a smoke signal. Suddenly, Amanda notices a plane circling the sky, but unfortunately, it's flying too high and the pilot can't see them. Will comes up with a bright idea, and soon after, the plane picks them up. What did they do? Think carefully and share your ideas. They use rocks to spell out SOS on the sand. The plane takes Amanda and Will to the mainland, and now they need to take a bus to get home. Only one of these 4 buses will take them to their final destination. Can you guess which one? It's the second bus. Hit the like button if you nailed it. And if you want to train your thinking on a daily basis, don't forget to subscribe. So Bill had stomach cramps and went to the hospital where he was prescribed some pills. The next morning, he was found unconscious. Police found someone had switched the pills and questioned 3 suspects. Dr. Johnson, his cardiologist, saw him at 3 in the afternoon and wrote the prescription. John, the hospital cleaner, came to clean the room at 7 a.m., found him and called the police. Susan, his nurse, brought the pills to him at 8 that morning. Who's lying? Susan, the cleaner, called the police 1 hour before she claimed to have brought in the pills. Mia got a new cat and brought it into her apartment where she lived with 3 other people. But all her roommates disliked her new pet. 3 months later, she went on a 2-day business trip, but when she came back, the cat was gone. She questioned all her roommates. Steve didn't notice the cat was missing. David said he was allergic to cats and couldn't survive a day with one around him. Sean was the one taking care of the cat, and he was shocked he couldn't find it that morning. Who's lying? David. If he was allergic to cats, he wouldn't have lasted with Mia's cat in the same house for several months before. You went to visit an abandoned castle when you got trapped in the basement. There's a small bamboo stick on the table, almost as long as your forearm. In front of you, there are 3 doors, and you must spend 1 hour behind one of them to get out of the castle. Which is the safest option? Behind the first door, there's 100 rabid wild rats. Behind the second, there's a box filled with water, and you must keep your head submerged in it. In the third door, there's an infinitely deep pool filled with box jellyfish. The second door. You can use the bamboo stick to breathe. Brian was traveling by train to a nearby city. He placed his watch on the table and was looking for his train ticket when the train went into a dark tunnel. When it came out, Brian's watch was gone. There were only 3 people in the car. Mary was sleeping the entire time. Christopher was looking for his wallet to grab a cup of coffee. Mike was playing a game on his phone. Who took the watch? It was Mary. When the journey started, she had her sleeves rolled up, and if she were sleeping, she wouldn't put them down. Sarah was walking out of the mall when someone snatched the purse out of her hand and drove off in a red car. The security closed the parking lot and found 3 people with red cars. Alyssa said she was inside shopping when she got called by security. David said he had only just arrived. Bob said he was about to pay his parking fee and drive off. Who isn't telling the truth? David. He's got a parking ticket on his window. From the sign on the wall, he's been there for more than 2 hours without paying and got a ticket. And he lies about being very allergic to cats. Simon broke into the richest house in the neighborhood and took a very expensive diamond. Security guards caught him walking out and searched him for the diamond. They knew he'd taken it, so when they couldn't find anything, they x-rayed him. Still, nothing showed up. Where was Simon carrying the diamond? As soon as the guards caught him, he put it in one of their pockets. After the search was over and they were driving him home, he took it out of their pocket with nobody noticing. A crazy scientist took you into their basement and is planning to keep you there for a year. He's given you the option to choose one of 3 foods to eat for the year to stay alive. Which one do you choose to save your life? Pasta and bread, rice and beans, steak and broccoli. If you only ate pasta and bread, you'd get scurvy in just 8 months. And steak with broccoli is low in carbs, which will start breaking down your muscle mass to help you stay alive. Your best bet is rice and beans. It's high in all 9 essential amino acids your body needs, and you can germinate some of the raw beans, eating their sprouts to get your vitamin C. Aren't you a smart cookie? A year passes and you've managed to get out of the basement. But to make it out of the house, you must pick one of the 3 doors the scientists created. The first room is filled with venomous cone snails. The second has 5 very hungry polar bears. The third is a saltwater tank with hundreds of piranhas. Which is the safest? The third room. Piranhas are freshwater fish and can't survive in saltwater. 3 prisoners are sitting at the table having dinner, but one of them is wealthy. Can you guess who it is? It's not the guy with the steak and the shrimps. The little tag on his shirt reveals he's a chef, and he likes to prepare a special treat for himself. The guy with the jewels shows that he's rich, but in prison, jewelry is basically worthless. It's the third guy. Rich people try to keep low profile in prison, not to be targeted by others. That's why he doesn't flash any valuable possessions or his status. A group of researchers is trying to test your knowledge. They take you into their lab on an island in Italy and present 3 dishes to you, but only one is safe to eat. Which do you choose? Cheese infested by maggots, boiled pufferfish liver, or fly agaric mushrooms? Pufferfish liver can be poisonous if it isn't prepared properly, and the fly agaric mushrooms are among the most dangerous in the world. Maggot cheese, on the other hand, is actually a delicacy in Sardinia, Italy, so it's perfectly safe to eat. Really? One day, you wake up in an arena without knowing how you got there. From the speakers, you hear that you must fight one of 3 hybrid animals. Which one do you pick to stay alive? A polar bear with the head of a rattlesnake, a hippo with a lion head, or a hybrid with the face and body of a great white shark and the limbs of a jaguar? The great white shark hybrid. Since its body has gills, it won't be able to breathe outside water. You're an astronaut and you've made it to Mars for an expedition. A team member greets you at the entrance to the base in their workout clothes. When you get in, you close the door and wait for the room to pressurize before taking off your spacesuit. When you walk in, you get a message that someone at the base is an imposter. Who could it be? A fellow astronaut who covers his face because he got a sunburn, an engineer with flaky patches on her skin, or the person who greeted you at the door earlier. the person you saw earlier. If they were human, they wouldn't survive outside the base in the planet's atmosphere. While walking in the forest, you come across a mysterious local that blocks your way. He tells you if you solve his riddle, you're free to go. But if you don't, you'll have to stay in this forest forever. The riddle goes like this: You're seas without water, coasts without land, towns without people, and mountains without land. What are you? Well, you're a map. You decided to go exploring a local cave. You walk inside, and a landslide suddenly blocks the way back. Ahead, there are 4 tunnels, each with a sign showing you which dangers lurk inside. Which one do you choose to stay safe? The tunnel filled with molten lava, the one filled with poisonous gas, the one swarmed by bats, or the tunnel with venomous spiders? You picked the last one. Spiders don't hunt humans for food and usually avoid them altogether. You just moved into a new town with only 2 barbers. You visit both their shops to decide which one you should pick. The first shop is a bit messy, and the barber needs both a haircut and his beard trimmed. The second shop is shiny, tidy, and the barber is well shaved with a perfect haircut. But you decide to go to the first shop. Why? Each barber cuts the other barber's hair, and you pick the one who gave the other a nice haircut. You've got a job as a helper to someone's mansion, but the mansion owner gives a tricky task. I need the least number of chairs for a table to seat 4 fathers and 2 grandfathers with 4 sons. You can't ask any questions, but what's the least number of chairs you must put out? Four. The fathers could also be grandfathers, and they're all sons. Mary was selling a rope for $3. The buyer gave her $10, but because she had no change, she went to the grocery store next door to get some. She then returned with $7, but then the clerk from the store came outside to tell her that she gave her a counterfeit bill. Mary called a detective, and she must tell him how much she had lost. What should her answer be? $7 and the rope. Oh, and it turns out the counterfeiter buyer was a guy named David. What a troublemaker. Hey, let's check if you could make a good detective. How about a warm-up task? Look at the photo of these friends hanging out together. They are 3 couples, each consists of a girl and a guy. What's your guess? Who dates who? Look, these 2 on the right are pretty comfortable with each other and don't really care about anyone else. So my bet is that they're a couple. Psychologists say that we tend to turn toward people we like most in a group. The dark-haired girl and the black-haired guy are turned toward one another, so they must be the second couple. And the redhead and the guy on the left mostly look at each other too, so it works too. What was your guess? That was just a warm-up. Now let's get down to business. I have a couple of cases for you to crack. A young lady, Leslie, went missing. Her best friend, Colette, said that Leslie had been planning to run away with her mysterious boyfriend. He supposedly lived in some other country. Leslie even left this farewell note. What do you think about this case? If you think that the note is suspicious, you're right. The first letters of each line form the word save. Maybe Leslie was forced to write it and left a hint. I think that the police should work more closely on this case. Ella is a PhD student working at a university. She just got a new motorbike she's been dreaming about since she was young. In the morning, she polished it for her evening bike ride, closed the garage, and went to work. In the evening, she opened the garage and found that her motorbike was gone. She questioned 3 neighbors. Micah said, "When I went grocery shopping at noon, the motorbike was still there." Ina said that she'd left before sunrise and had just returned home. Sonia said that she hadn't paid any attention to Ella's house. She was worried about her job interview. So, who stole the bike? Micah. He said that he'd seen the bike in the garage, but it couldn't be true because the garage was closed. An anonymous note was sent to the police, reporting that one of the students of the local college was not a real person, but a creature from a parallel universe in disguise. There was also a picture of several young people, and the imposter was among them. Who seems suspicious to you? Look, there's a mirror in the back of the room reflecting every person. Except for this girl. She's not reflected in the mirror, so something must be off about her. A jewelry store manager started to notice that every month a pair of earrings went missing. The suspicion fell on the cashier. The first time it happened, she was forgiven. The second time, the sum was withdrawn from her salary. The third time, the manager fired her. But the theft happened for a fourth time. When it occurred once again, the manager decided to go through the security camera footage. Here are some of them, made in May, June, July, August, and September. Do you see anything suspicious? On each of these recordings, there's a man with a cast. If he really had his arm broken, it'd heal in a month or a couple of months max. But it's been 5 months, so the cast is obviously fake, and he's the thief. I think the cashier should file a wrongful termination suit, but I digress. Venus was expecting her delivery, but it was running late because of heavy rain. She had to go to work, so she asked her boyfriend, who had a day off, to get it from the post office for her. When Venus came back home, her boyfriend said that he had just been to the post office, but the package hadn't arrived yet. Venus understood that her boyfriend hadn't gone anywhere. How did she figure it out? It's been raining all day, but the spot under the car is dry, which means no one's used the vehicle during the day. Dr. Roberts, one of the best surgeons in the country, came to his insurance company and said that he had been robbed right in the street. The assistant asked if Dr. Roberts remembered any specific details about the robber. The surgeon said that he couldn't recollect anything because the robber had been fast. Plus, since Dr. Roberts had extremely poor eyesight, he hadn't seen him clearly. The assistant refused to proceed and said that Dr. Roberts was lying and hadn't been robbed. Why didn't he believe Dr. Roberts? Dr. Roberts is a surgeon. Surgeons usually have excellent eyesight. So why did a highly paid surgeon need the insurance money? There was a grand ball organized in honor of Ms. Dell's birthday, and half of the town was invited. Suddenly, the lights in the entire building went off for a couple of minutes. When the lights came back on, Ms. Dell's beautiful diamond earrings were missing. The main suspect was her distant cousin, Sylvia. But the girl said that she had been in the bathroom fixing her makeup. She didn't even notice that the lights had gone out because she'd been busy. Who is lying, Ms. Dell or Sylvia? The lights went out in the entire building. If Sylvia had been fixing her makeup, she would have definitely noticed that something was wrong. Hey, it's dark in here. In a parallel universe, it's only allowed to have fun and eat candies. No one ever reads or studies. Mrs. Relham came back home after a long day at the club. Her 3 daughters had been staying at home. The woman asked them what they had been doing. Hannah said she'd gone shopping for a new board game and then spent the day playing it with her friends. Elle said that she had been partying with her classmates in the pool. Ava said that she had been binge-watching TV shows all day and eating ice cream. Mrs. Relham could tell that one of her daughters lied. Who was it? It was Hannah. Look, the board game she bought is unpacked. She couldn't be playing it. 4 friends were driving to New York City for the weekend. The music in the car was on and everyone was in a good mood, so the driver got distracted and got in a car crash. A police officer arrived and started an investigation. He asked the guys who had been driving, but no one wanted to take the blame. Then the officer inspected the car. Can you tell who was driving? Look, there's a purse hanging on the driver's seat. It must belong to a girl. There's just one girl in the group, so she's likely to be the driver. Mrs. Miller came back home after work and asked what her daughters had been doing all day. They were all grounded and weren't allowed to leave the house or watch TV. Kaylee said that she had been doing housework and had just finished cooking pizza for dinner. Ellery said that she had been upstairs in her room reading. Lilith said that she'd spent the day cleaning her room. Who's lying? It's Kaylee. She said that she had made this pizza herself. But why is there a pizza box in the garbage? She ordered the pizza and was probably doing something else instead. It was a cold fall day. Mr. Jones was at home drinking tea and reading his newspaper. He also peeked out of the window from time to time. There, 4 teens, Mark, Davin, Bexley, and Penny were having a picnic. Suddenly, a ball broke the window of his living room. The teens started to pack their things. They didn't want to confess who had done this. In the evening, Mr. Jones got a note, but inside there was just a question mark. Do you know who broke the window? The question mark is a hint. It literally means question mark. So Mark must be the one who did it. Adele found her friend Oliver on the floor of his studio in the attic. She called the police. The officer who came asked the girl to tell him what had happened. Adele said that she had been walking past Oliver's house and noticed that the lights had been on. She came up to the window, peeked inside, and saw him on the floor. She called the police and ran into the house. The police didn't believe her. Do you? No, it doesn't sound right. The guy was in the attic. Adele couldn't possibly see him through the window, unless she was 20 feet tall. On Wednesday, a high school student, Layla, went missing. There are 3 suspects: Mrs. Adams, the director, Mrs. Smith, a school cook, and Mr. Jones, a cleaning man. Mrs. Adams said that she had a lot of work and spent the whole day in her office, never leaving it. Mrs. Smith said that after the working day, she had to stay in the kitchen to do some cleaning before the weekend. Mr. Jones said that he'd left after classes to do some shopping. He only returned several hours later. Who is guilty? There's something suspicious about Mrs. Smith, the cook. It's Wednesday, so what weekend cleaning is she talking about? Alan was traveling from Madrid to Amsterdam, but when his train arrived at the station, he wasn't there. His friend reported his disappearance. The police found some traces just a couple of 100 miles away from Madrid. First, they saw Alan's footsteps, and a bit further away from there, his suitcase was found. Then they interrogated the man who was the last to see Alan. He said that Alan hadn't had a train ticket, so when he saw the conductor coming, he threw his suitcase and then jumped from the train himself. Do you believe this man? If it were true, the police would have first found the suitcase and then Alan's footsteps. But in this case, we can conclude that the guy didn't jump himself. He was pushed off the train. How rude.
Get ready to decipher the enigma.
3 women gathered at a table in a popular cafe. Their appearances seemed to reveal their financial status. 2 of them looked wealthy, while 1 woman didn't seem to be as well off. Look at these ladies very attentively and write in the comments which of them is not actually rich. The answer might not be as obvious as it seems. The woman wearing pearls is not trying to show off her wealth. She's content with her simple, sustainable life. This suggests that she's truly rich. The second woman has extremely expensive accessories. She doesn't need a car, since she will be picked up by her driver and notified of their arrival through her Apple Watch. But the third woman is not actually rich. She doesn't have any valuable possessions, and that money falling out of her bag is actually fake. Look at these 2 couples lounging on the beach. There are designer bags by their side, and they're dressed in fancy swimsuits. At first glance, both couples appear to be well off, but only one of them possesses true richness. If you have already figured out which couple it is, share your ideas in the comments. The couple on the left have some fake items. If you look at them attentively, you'll notice that the logos are written incorrectly. They're also pale. Can it be because they have to work all the time and go on vacation just once a year? As for the couple on the right, their seemingly simpler yet well-maintained belongings suggest that they value quality over extravagance. And their worn luggage speaks of their many trips. Plus, they have tanned skin, which means that they can vacation much more often. A suspected criminal, Doug the Evil Man, had been bouncing around various places in the world. Interpol had been trailing him, expecting to catch him with large amounts of unaccountable cash. When they finally got their hands on the criminal, they only found sunglasses, a wallet containing about $50 American, credit cards, and some foreign loose change. They had nothing to do but let the guy go. In reality, though, Man managed to sneak a fortune right before the authorities' eyes. If you have any ideas about how he did it, share them in the comments. These foreign coins were actually extremely rare and incredibly expensive ancient coins. Detective Stanwyck came to Mr. Pennyroll's house to investigate a crime. Mr. Pennyroll claimed he had been kidnapped by bank robbers when he had arrived to open up the bank where he was the assistant manager. They made him open the safe and give them the money. They told the man to drive them to his house. They wanted to get his wife's jewelry too.
Oh my God!
While they were on the way, one of the criminals moved the money into a paper bag and threw the bank bag out of the window. When the car stopped at the red light 2 blocks later, the banker managed to escape. The detective decided to follow the route back to the bank to look for clues. At one point, Mr. Pennyroll shouted that he saw the empty bank bag, and a few minutes later, he pointed at the red light where he managed to escape. When they arrived at the bank, Detective Stanwyck arrested Mr. Pennyroll for a false report. Have you noticed a problem with the banker's story? Then tell us in the comments below. while heading back to the bank, not have reached the money bag before they reached the corner where Mr. Pennyroll jumped out of the car. He supposedly did that after the criminal had tossed the bag out. If this story was true, the detective and banker would have passed the corner first and the money bag next on the way back to the bank. Now, there's a truly mysterious case for you. Chelsea walked up to a parked taxi, handed the taxi driver a $20 note, and walked away. Here are the things you need to know. She's not very good with directions. $20 is too big of a tip for giving directions. The girl also has a car of her own, and it's not broken. Can you solve this mystery faster than the other Brightsiders? Leave your answer in the comments. Chelsea was lost and paid the taxi driver to take her to her destination. She followed him in her own car. Look at this picture very attentively. Can you spot a thief and explain your choice in the comments below the video? It's the woman in the brown coat with white lapels. She stands out among the crowd, as everyone else is either wearing sleeveless or short-sleeved outfits. Stephen called the police to report that his valuables were missing. When the police arrived, the man told them he had gone on a camping trip alone. He just got there and set up his tent when it started raining heavily. He hurried to get some dry firewood and left his bag with his wallet and all the documents inside the tent. When he came back, everything was gone. The police officers didn't believe Stephen and fined him for making a false call. Have you figured out how they understood that the man was lying? Tell us in the comments. Stephen said he had set up the tent before it started to rain. But then, why is there a big puddle inside? Tom vanished at around 10 p.m. on Friday in the fall. A police officer questioned his 4 friends. She suspected that one of them had something to do with the guy's disappearance. She asked each of them what they had been doing at that time. Adam said he had been choosing an outfit for a date. Daniel was getting ready for a party that was going to take place at his apartment. Sophia said she had been relaxing by doing yoga before her night shift at work. And Jake was watching birds in the park. After questioning the suspects, the police officer arrested one of Tom's friends. If you know who she detained, write it in the comments. It was Jake. At 10 p.m. in the fall, it's too dark to see birds outside. Police officer James was called into a small hotel to investigate a mysterious jewelry disappearance. Emily had checked in the night before and put all her expensive diamonds in her hotel room safe. After she came back from lunch the next day, the jewelry was gone. James had 3 suspects. The receptionist said she had been out on her lunch break. The maid said another guest had checked out earlier that day, and she had been cleaning their room. Susan, another hotel guest, said that she had just woken up. One of these people is lying. If you figure out who it is, write your guess in the comments as fast as possible. It's Susan. She said she had just woken up, but look at her bed. The maid had already made it. Joan came home one evening and discovered that someone had robbed her house. When the police arrived, they went to question the neighbors. Victoria said that she had been visiting her friend who lived 2 blocks away. She came home a couple of minutes ago. Peter said that he had been ill. He only made a short trip to the pharmacy and stayed in bed after that. Nathan said that he and his wife had been preparing for a barbecue party with their friends. But it started raining heavily, and they had to cancel their plans. Help the police and write the name of the thief in the comments below. It was Victoria. It was raining, and she said she had just come home. But look! Her hair, clothes, and the umbrella, which is standing near the door, are absolutely dry. Tyler was going to his friend's place in the evening when a stranger in a black mask captured him. The next thing the guy knew, he was in a large room, locked in a cage. There were 3 levers in the wall next to the cage. If he pulled the first lever, he would let hungry lions into the cage. The second lever would flood the cage with water. And the third lever would activate a special mechanism that would make the top of the cage move down towards the bottom, crushing everyone and everything inside. Which lever should Tyler pull to survive? Share your choice in the comments. His only choice is the second lever. All the water will flow out through the bars of the cage.
4 friends were hiking in the mountains. At lunchtime, it started pouring down. The friends hid in a cave. They decided to 4 friends were hiking from the entrance to protect themselves from the chilly wind. When they were already deep in the cave, Amelia discovered she'd lost her phone. The girl asked her friends to go and look for her gadget, and she was going to stay there and start a fire. In a half an hour, the guys were back. James said he hadn't noticed a lake in the dark and had fallen into it. Oliver told her he had seen some bats, got terribly scared, and rushed back. And Ethan nearly got lost. "I'm so happy I made it back to you." Which guy behaved suspiciously? Ethan lied. James was soaked through after falling into the water. But why was Ethan's hair wet? It looks as if he was outside in the rain, but decided not to tell his friends about it. Mr. Lawrence called the police. He said someone had taken his car for a joyride, crashed it into a streetlight, and run away. The man was sure it had been one of his neighbors. The police questioned 3 of them. Ivy answered she had been at work and arrived home only in the evening. Cameron told the police he had been helping his dad remove old stuff from the attic. And Aaron claimed he had been hanging out with his friends, eating pizza, and binge-watching the latest series. After listening to all the suspects, the police officers arrested one of them. Who was it? It was Cameron. There's no attic in his house. He invented the whole story. Jackson was going to marry the love of his life, Liza. But one day before the wedding, his fiancée disappeared. Her room was a mess. On her bed, Jackson found a note with several hastily written numbers, 5509-710. Jackson knew 3 other guys were in love with his wife-to-be. Jaden was a landscape designer and often sent Liza beautiful flowers. Luke owned a gas station and usually tanked up the girl's car for free. And Asher was a hairstylist and helped Liza with her hair. All of these guys wouldn't be above taking the girl away to prevent her from marrying Jackson. But just one of them was actually guilty. Who? Jackson turned the note over and realized it read, "Oil Boss." It was Luke who had taken Liza away. Kevin had been dreaming of getting a motorbike for ages. He'd taken several training courses and read tons of specialized literature. And finally, the guy saved enough to buy the motorcycle of his dreams. Kevin was so excited, he immediately went for a ride. The guy was enjoying the trip when suddenly some force pushed him to the side of the road. He lost control of his bike and crashed into a tree. Luckily, Kevin was wearing a helmet and was unharmed, unlike his precious motorbike. The guy looked around and saw a gray Ford disappearing into the distance. It was a hit and run. Kevin was devastated. He checked his motorcycle. Despite being damaged, it was okay to ride. The guy continued on his way. Just several minutes later, he saw the very same gray Ford parked near a coffee shop. Kevin rushed inside and saw 4 people. He didn't need much time to understand who the driver that had hit him was. It's the man standing near the counter. The rest of the visitors are already eating. He's the only one still choosing what to order. Naomi invited her friends to a pajama party at her house where she lived with her parents and an older brother. The only thing she told the girls was, "Don't enter my brother's room. Mark loves playing tricks on people, and once you're in there, you might not be able to get out." They had been eating, gossiping, and watching viral TikTok videos until one of Naomi's friends asked, "Wait, where's Rebecca?" What the girls didn't know was that Rebecca went to the kitchen to drink some water, but she got lost and ended up in Mark's room. The door closed behind her back, and try as she might, it wouldn't open. That's when the girl noticed a password lock with letters on it. At a loss, Rebecca looked around. Was that a piece of paper on the table? She picked it up and saw 5 numbers on it. 37692. The girl thought for a while, then entered a combination of letters and got out of the room. What was the password? The code was the first letters of the 5 numbers, TSSNT. Claire's the best student in her class. She's also friendly and kind. Her classmates love her nice character and how she always finds a way to help them at the tests. This time, though, it's going to be tough. There will be new rules during their upcoming math exam. There won't be anyone at school except for the students and several teachers. The library, cafeteria, and gym will be closed. Students will have to leave their phones in a special locker. It won't be allowed to talk whatsoever. If students need to go to the bathroom, they'll have to do it one by one. And the teacher will check the bathroom after each student, even the toilet paper. Claire's classmates are devastated. They know they're going to fail the test. "Don't worry," the girl says, "I've got an idea." When the kids get their exam results, they see the highest marks. Their teacher knows the students cheated, but how? Claire was the first to go to the bathroom. She wrote the correct answers on the steamy mirror with her finger, and her classmates could read the answers by breathing on the mirror. The little cheaters. Detective Brown is following a man who's suspected of smuggling. Suddenly, the man speeds up and disappears around the corner. The detective runs after him, but there's no sign of the man. The only place where the suspect could hide is a beauty salon. Brown rushes inside and sees 3 women, but he knows for sure one of them must be the man he's looking for. Which one? All of the women look stylish and ladylike, but look at the arms of the one sitting on the right. They're too hairy to belong to a woman. That's our criminal. An expensive ring went missing from a jewelry store on the first floor of a large shopping mall. The manager called the police. After watching the CCTV camera footage, they had 3 suspects: a student, a woman with a 10-year-old daughter, and an elderly man. The student said he had agreed to meet with his friend next to the jewelry store. "I didn't even set foot inside." The woman was furious. "I was at the movies with my daughter here in the mall when everything happened." The elderly man said, "Yes, I did enter the store. I felt unwell and asked for a glass of water, but I didn't take the ring." Who's lying? All the movies running at that time had 16+ age rating. The woman wouldn't be able to watch any of them with her young daughter. Vicky's friends knew the girl loved all kinds of riddles and puzzles. Once, they decided to play a trick on her. While she was sleeping, they moved her to the attic and left her there with nothing but a note, a pen, and a flashlight. When Vicky woke up, she found herself in a dark room with no windows, a locked door, and a table with a piece of paper on it. The note said, "Crack this riddle, write down the answer, and slip it under the door. If it's correct, you'll be set free. M1Y L1I1 F1E." Vicky was a smart girl. She didn't need much time to find the answer to the riddle. Do you know it? The expression hidden in the note is, "for once in my life." After Vicky slipped the paper under the door, her cheering friends let her out. Justin was an archaeologist who explored ancient pyramids. One day, something went wrong, and he ended up locked in a tiny room deep underground. The guy got into the room through a narrow passage. It was blocked by a rock slide several minutes after he entered. There was only one other door in the room, but it was locked. To open it, the guy had to solve a riddle. It looked like this. After mulling it over for some time, Justin guessed what it meant. Can you? The answer is, try to understand. One day, a public library made a strange announcement. Each member could borrow as many books as they wanted. They also didn't have to return them for the next half a year. Why? The library was moving to a new building, but they didn't have enough money. And this way, the patrons would move most of the books by themselves. Smart! Martin is a Harvard student from a wealthy family, and his parents want him to start dating a girl from the same la-di-da social circle. The guy was tired of arguing with his parents and decided to give in. He liked two girls, Emily and Samantha. But which one are his parents going to like, who is actually rich? Write your answer in the comments below if you want to help Martin. At first sight, the girl on the left, Emily, seems to have more money, but the jacket she is buying at a boutique is fake because the name of the brand is written incorrectly. As for the girl on the right, Samantha, she's wearing real designer clothes, even though she's just doing homework. If a girl's financial status is important to Martin and his parents, he should pick Samantha. Look at these two girls and their fridges and comment below which of the sisters is now rich. It's the girl on the left. High heels, a flashy dress, and a fridge filled to the brim. She looks like someone who has finally managed to get their hands on big money. Thomas is an undercover detective, secretly visiting suspects, trying to figure out who has stolen a large sum of money. Today he has dined in two different houses with two different families. The first family treated him to several pizzas with various yummy toppings. The other offered him a steak and grilled vegetables. Now Thomas is a bit confused, because all the food is delicious and quite expensive. Can you help the detective figure out which family has more money? Share your ideas in the comments. Well, no matter how tasty the pizzas are, they're still cheaper than large pieces of meat. This means the family treating Thomas to the steak must have more money than the second one. But does it mean they are the criminals? Time and further investigation will show. Due to a technical issue, Two families were given the same seats on a plane flying to France. An airline company worker offered one of the families to upgrade to business class, but it would cost a pretty penny. Which family is rich enough to pay the necessary sum? Comment below. The family on the left is rich. They have modern suitcases covered with stickers, so they have money to travel a lot. The members of the family on the right do look good and well off, but they have old and worn-out suitcases with scratches. They probably spent all their money on designer clothes and jewelry to show off. Two guys are staring at themselves in the mirror. They both look successful and wealthy. But one of them is actually poor and is just pretending. I'm sure you know which of them it is. Prove me right and write your answer in the comments. A small hint: the mirror seems to be magic. The guy in a blue shirt is actually far from successful. In the mirror, he looks like a rich businessman, but pay attention to his real-life clothes. They're old, and there's even a little hole in his shirt. He must be quite poor. You're a detective investigating petty crime. Today, you've been called to a supermarket where security guards have detained two women, suspecting them of shoplifting. Look at them attentively and write who is guilty in the comments below. It's the woman on the left. The lady on the right seems to be really pregnant, but the shape of the belly of the woman on the left is weird, to say the least. While you're at the supermarket, you manage to prevent another theft. One of these people was about to steal some Pringles. Can you figure out who? It's this young lady. Look at her palm-like ponytail. Very strange shape for such a hairstyle. There must be a pack of Pringles hidden inside. But if you disagree, make sure you write your version in the comments. Now look at these girls. They've been captured and locked in a basement. All of them have their hands tied, but one of them has more chances to escape than the others. If you've figured out which of them it is, don't hesitate and share your answer in the comments. It's going to be the girl on the left. She's got long, beautiful nails. She's bound to have a file to look after them somewhere on her. It can help her cut the rope. One of these people on the train is hiding some treasure. Can you spot who it is faster than other Brightside detectives? Let's check. Write your answer in the comments as fast as possible. It's this man. At first glance, he's just overweight. But once you look closer, you'll realize that his belly has an uneven shape and is even a bit lumpy. Both of these ladies are in a terrible hurry. They're going to be late for work. But while one of them might still get to the office on time, the other is definitely doing something wrong and won't make it on time. Put those attention skills of yours to good use and share your ideas in the comments. The first lady is bound to be late for work. She's trying to style her hair, but the tool she is using is unplugged. Look at these dishes very closely. Do you think any of them isn't safe to eat? Comment below. Let's compare the answers. Look at this piece of cake. There's a spider on it. And is it spinning a tiny web? I wouldn't eat that dessert if I were you. Now, we've got these people who look pretty normal and all, but one of them is actually from the future. If you can figure out who it is and write your answer, you might save the planet. It's this guy. He's carrying a smartphone in his pocket. Now, this looks like a regular picnic in the park, but one of these people is a time traveler. Find them faster than other Brightsiders and make sure to share your answer in the comments. It's the guy with a USB port in his arm. We don't have those yet, that's for sure. 3 people were stopped at the security check at an international airport. They were suspected of smuggling different valuables out of the country. The first man was heading for a beach resort. In his suitcase, there were lots of things people usually take to the seaside: an umbrella, a pair of sunglasses, sunscreen, and a beach towel. The second guy had a cage with 3 colorful birds and a pet carrier with a family of hamsters. He had all the necessary papers. The third man was traveling for business. In his bag, he had a suit, some documents, a toothbrush and toothpaste, and a bottle of very expensive shampoo. Now, we can only rely on your expertise and sharp eye. So tell us, who's the smuggler? It's the third guy. He's bald. Why would he need shampoo? On that day, several police officers arrived at the airport. They stopped a group of tourists who were flying to a Caribbean island, but the detectives didn't know the criminal's identity. That's why they had to search the baggage of all the passengers. If you're attentive enough to spot something weird, write your answer in the comments right away. Aha! It's the young woman on the left. If she was really going on a package tour to a hot place, why would she need a winter jacket?
A terrible virus broke free from a laboratory, and now all animals and plants on Earth are mutating at a horrifying speed. You've been trying to find the solution, but got trapped in the laboratory where it had all started instead. There are 3 doors you can escape through, but behind the first one, there's a bunch of aggressive flesh-eating cacti. The second door hides hundreds of poisonous bees. And the third door prevents an attack of fire-spitting dragon-like monsters. Which door can lead you to freedom? You can get out of there alive if you choose the first door. Even though the cacti eat flesh, they're still plants and can't move, so you can easily get around them. You've been kidnapped by an insane scientist who's going to test his new protective cream on you. After covering you with this lotion, he offers you to choose one of 3 containers where he'll then throw you. The first container is filled with radioactive waste. In the second container, there's an acid that can eat even through metal. And the third one is filled with lava from the largest volcano on Earth that erupted a year ago. Which container should you choose? Pick the container with lava. If the volcano erupted a year ago, the lava must be already solid. Jessica, Lauren, and Matthew met at a business conference. All of them presented themselves as wealthy, successful entrepreneurs. Look at these people's hands attentively and try to figure out which of them is a real millionaire. Matthew seems to be wearing a Versace watch. But look, the name of the brand is written incorrectly, so it's fake. Lauren is wearing tons of jewelry, but take a closer look. There are lots of scratches on her bracelets. It's not real gold. The accessories are simply gilded. So the real millionaire is Jessica with her Tiffany bracelet. A very famous painting disappeared from a museum. Later, the police managed to find it, but there was a problem. They found not one, but 3 paintings. Only one of them is original, the others are just copies. Can you help the police figure out which is the original painting? It's the one with the brown frame. Take a look. All the frames in the museum are made in the same style. Now, take a good look at these prisoners. Which one is in no danger? Rats do bite humans and they can spread diseases. Bees can also be dangerous, especially if you're allergic to them. Meanwhile, toads don't pose any threat to humans, so the 3rd prisoner is safe. Take a look at these prisoners. Who do you think is more likely to survive? Flames can cause serious injuries. And if the rope burns, the consequences will be terrible. So the 1st prisoner is definitely in danger. The 2nd prisoner is forced to inhale toxic gases. It can't be good for his health. But the 3rd prisoner can turn her body vertically, knock those sharp nails away with her feet, and clear her way to freedom. Look at this picture and try to understand what's wrong here. Pay attention to the smallest details. The school bus doesn't have a door. How about this image? Can you spot anything weird here? Look at the clock. It's 10:07. So it's too late both for sunrise and sunset. Then what is that glowing disc sitting low in the sky? Now, look at these animals on the screen. A cat, a camel, a cheetah, a chicken, a crocodile, and a pig. Which animal doesn't belong here? The pig is the odd one out. It's the only animal whose name doesn't start with the letter C. Mr. Carter, a rich man who collected antiques, asked Detective Morris to visit him. When the detective arrived, the collector said that he had just got a precious statuette. But he needed to go away on business for a week, and he was afraid someone would break into his house. The statuette was insured, but the man was still worried. Detective Morris had some other urgent things to do, but he promised to come back in the evening to figure out the solution. But when he arrived several hours later, Mr. Carter told him in despair that he had driven his sister to the doctor and had been away for an hour or so. But when he came back, the statuette was gone. Detective Morris didn't believe the collector. Why? When he left the house in the afternoon, he noticed an empty plastic bottle lying in front of the right part of the gate. Look, it's still there. But for a car to drive through, both parts of the gate have to be open. This means that Mr. Carter lied about leaving his home by car. A renowned chemist disappeared right from his lab. There was no evidence except a piece of paper lying on his desk. The names of 5 elements were scrawled across it hastily: nickel, carbon, oxygen, lanthanum, and sulfur. The guard reported that 3 people had visited the chemist that day: his sister, Laura, his colleague, Nicholas, and his wife, Tessa. The criminal was arrested immediately. Who was it? The list of chemicals is a clue. Their abbreviations spelled out the name Nicholas. Someone stole the principal's money. When the police came to investigate, they questioned the most likely suspects. The PE teacher said that he had had a break. The history teacher was having a lesson, and the music teacher said she had felt unwell and had gone home early. Can you figure out who the thief is? The music teacher is the thief.
Oh, no!
Look, she has gloves in her bag. Although it's summer. Suspicious. Mr. White, a rich businessman, disappeared right from his bedroom. But he managed to leave a note. It read, the 1st of July, the 4th of January, the 1st of December, the 8th of February. The police questioned the people who had been in the house at that time. Judy, Mr. White's wife, said that she didn't know anything because she had been away visiting her parents. Logan, Mr. White's secretary, told the police he'd been working on the report for his boss and hadn't left his study. And Rose, Mr. White's daughter, answered that she had guests and they hadn't left her room. Who knows something about Mr. White's disappearance? The one behind Mr. White's disappearance is his wife. The 1st of July means the letter J, the 4th of January, U, the 1st of December, D, and the 8th of February, Y. Together, it's Judy. Rachel called the police early in the morning. When they arrived, she told the officers her story. She worked in a museum. The day before, she took home several ancient books because she wanted to do some research. But then a blackout happened. She lit a couple of candles and continued her work. Suddenly, she heard the doorbell ring. When she opened the door, someone in a black mask hit her on the head. When she recovered, the books had been gone. The detectives arrested the woman for misreporting. Why? If there had been a blackout, the doorbell wouldn't have been working. Private Detective Deborah was doing some shopping at the mall. Suddenly, she heard people arguing. The woman went there and saw a stressed shop assistant and several people crowding him. The man had found a smartphone and made an announcement. And now, several people claimed it was their phone. One man said the phone must have slipped from his bag. A young woman said the gadget belonged to her, and an older woman shouted it was her husband's device. That's when the phone rang. For some reason, the shop assistant handed it to Deborah. The woman glanced at the screen and immediately gave the phone to the man. How did she understand whose device it was? Deborah saw the word wife written on the screen. Look at these three people who seem to be having fun. They're hanging from a tree, but one of them is a ghost. Can you guess who it is? The woman on the left has just rolled her eyes. That's why she looks so creepy. This guy is simply wearing a mask. But unlike the others, the hair of the lady on the right ignores gravity. She must be the ghost.
Wow, Bella landed in New York with very ambitious career goals. There were many options to get from the airport to the center of the city, but Bella decided to save money and go by bus. She had to purchase a ticket for $10. But a handsome guy popped out of nowhere and offered her a better deal. "Hey, my plans have changed and I don't need my bus ticket anymore. Want to buy it for $6? Bella agreed and gave him $6. It was a big mistake. Why? Take a look at the current date on the screen of the vending machine. And now check the date on the ticket. It expired a decade ago. Finally, Bella arrived in Manhattan and found her hostel. She had booked a bed in a dormitory room. Bella had to share it with 3 other women. She left her backpack on her bed and went to take a shower. When Bella returned, she found out that someone had stolen her laptop. She questioned her roommates. Sarah said, "I was drinking some coffee in the lobby. Ask the manager." Kelly said, "I was sleeping with my earplugs in and my sleep mask on, so I didn't see or hear anything." And Chelsea said that she had been taking pictures on the roof of the hostel. Who's lying? Chelsea. Do you see the sign? The hostel rules strictly prohibit guests from going up to the roof. In the evening, at around 8 p.m., Bella got very hungry. She went out to get some food. She found a cozy restaurant. As soon as Bella entered, she witnessed a heated argument between a waiter and a customer. The customer claimed to have ordered tomato soup, and the waiter claimed that he'd only ordered hot chocolate. Bella realized which of them was lying right away. What about you? The client is lying. This advertisement on the wall says the restaurant only serves soups from 1 to 4 p.m. This means that the waiter simply wouldn't have accepted such an order. Bella ordered dinner. While waiting, she looked around and noticed one weird detail. Can you spot it too? This guy is using tree leaves instead of money to pay for his meal. The waiter served Bella her meal. She was about to start eating when 2 ladies began arguing about their VIP reservation. Julia claimed that she had reserved the VIP room in advance to celebrate her wedding anniversary. And Letitia said, "No way! It's my birthday party tonight. I called the manager yesterday and he promised me the VIP room." The manager said, "Ladies, I'm so sorry, but the booking system crashed and deleted both of your reservations. The VIP room is unavailable today. Can I do anything else for you?" Who's lying here? The manager. Take a look at the screen. Julia's reservation is still there. He lied because Letitia had given him huge tips to get the VIP room without any reservation. See? Boy, this is a crazy restaurant. The food better be worth it. After dinner, Bella saw Letitia in the ladies' room. She was crying. Bella asked her, "What happened?" Letitia didn't say anything. She just gave Bella her phone and showed this chat with her boyfriend. Can you tell what made Letitia so upset? Her boyfriend didn't come to her birthday party. Even worse, he lied that his mom was ill to visit a pool party. Take a look at the reflection in his sunglasses. It seems that he's having fun. Letitia was so grateful for Bella's support that she gave up her VIP opera tickets. The performance was scheduled for the next day. Now, Bella needed to find an evening dress. She headed to a shopping mall with Kelly and Sarah, but as soon as they arrived, they noticed something very weird. Can you see it too? This mannequin has 3 arms. Can you spot what's wrong here? The outfit sizes don't match the sizes on the hangers. What about the dressing room? Any odd details? These hairy clawed paws can't belong to a human. Finally, Bella found a beautiful evening gown for the opera, but it cost $97. Bella couldn't afford it, so she borrowed $50 from Kelly and $50 from Sarah, which equaled $100. She bought the dress and got $3 of change. Bella gave $1 to Kelly and $1 to Sarah and kept the last dollar for herself. So now, Bella owes $49 to Kelly and $49 to Sarah, which equals $98. If we add the dollar that Bella took, we'll get $99. But then, $1 is missing. Where is it? First of all, we're led to believe that $1 is missing. According to the conditions of the riddle, Bella took $50 from Kelly and $50 from Sarah. So the sum of her debt was $100. After that, she bought a dress for $97 and got $3 of change. The total indeed equals $100. But the question itself offers us a mathematically impossible puzzle. In fact, there is no missing dollar. Bella's debt remains $98 because she had already given $2 to her friends. And it's incorrect to add Bella's $1 to this debt. Next, Bella decided to visit a hairdresser. The manager asked her to wait for 20 minutes. Bella took a seat in the lobby and accidentally fell asleep. When she woke up, she saw that someone had cut her long, beautiful hair. She got furious and questioned 3 suspects. Maya said that she'd been busy with another customer. She didn't see what was going on in the lobby. Rick said that he had been eating his lunch outdoors. And Sally said, "Who do you think I am? I don't steal hair. That's ridiculous." Who is lying? Both Maya and Sally have some cut hair on their clothes, but that doesn't prove their guilt. But Rick's lunchbox is full of food, which means that he was busy with something else during his lunch break. Very suspicious. Bella's evening dress was too long and classy. She couldn't go to the concert hall by subway. So the hostel manager, Fred, offered Bella to give her a ride if she cracked his tricky riddle. I have no neck and no head. 2 arms, but no hands. I'm with you at school. I'm with you at work. What am I? The correct answer is a shirt. During a break, Bella went outside to get some fresh air. She enjoyed the evening along with other guests. Suddenly, a street dealer offered Bella a diamond necklace for $20. She agreed right away and put the necklace on. Soon, 3 guests came over to Bella to claim the necklace. Pam said, "How dare you? This necklace has been in my family for ages. I lost it in the ladies' room." Diana said, "This piece looks very similar to my necklace. Someone stole it as I was moving through the crowd today. In any case, my jewelry collection is insured." And Sheila said, "I noticed that the necklace was gone after visiting the buffet on the 6th floor. Can you help Bella return the necklace to its real owner?" The necklace belongs to Diana. The concert hall doesn't have 6 floors. Pam and the street dealer have similar tattoos on their arms, so they must be scammers working together. After the performance, Letitia invited Bella to the after party, where Bella met Tyler. He claimed he was a famous violinist and showed Bella some pictures proving his luxurious lifestyle. But Bella realized that he was just a wannabe very soon. How did she understand it? Take a look at the trees in this picture. It's obvious that the wind is blowing to the right. Meanwhile, Tyler's hair seems to be swept to the left. The picture has been photoshopped. The next morning, Bella went to buy some groceries. She didn't have much cash, so she bought only 2 items, cheese and bread, and paid $1.10 in total. The cheese cost $1 more than the bread. So, how much did the bread cost? The most obvious answer would be that the bread cost 10 cents. But if the bread cost 10 cents and the price of the cheese was $1 higher than that of the bread, the cheese would cost $1.10. And the total, in this case, would be $1.20. The correct answer is that the bread costs 5 cents and the cheese costs $1.05. This indeed makes a total of $1.10. Does that make sense? Sense? After breakfast, Bella went to a job interview. The HR manager asked her to solve this riddle. She wanted to see how quick-witted Bella was. I am the only place in the world where today comes before yesterday. What am I? Bella cracked this riddle easily. What about you? The correct answer is the dictionary. Bella got a job as a train conductor. On her first day at work, she entered a rail car to check the passengers' tickets. There were only 3 people inside, and only 2 of them were human. Can you tell who's not human? The first guy is dressed up too warmly for the summer, but he could be going to a place where it's very cold. That lady over there is drinking some green liquid. It's a bit strange, but there are plenty of colorful drinks in the world. As for this guy in the middle, he doesn't cast a shadow, so he's not human.
Mr. Riddle is an old-fashioned aristocrat. He invites a landscape designer, Bella, to do his chic country mansion.
Okay.
He says, "Your task is to plant 7 trees. I will triple your paycheck if you find a way to plant exactly 6 rows of trees in a straight line. Also, each row should have 3 trees in particular." Do you have any idea how Bella can accomplish this task? Bella should plant 3 trees as the vertices of an equal triangle. 3 more trees should be planted at the center of each side of the triangle. The last tree should be planted at the center, and voila! While working in Mr. Riddle's garden, Bella finds 3 hidden words. Can you see them too? There are 3 hidden words here: tree, farm, and plant. The local gardener is playing a quiz game. He keeps asking the same question to everyone he meets, but each time, the answer is different. Can you guess the question? The question that the gardener asks is, what's the time? Later that night, Bella is heading to the local nightclub. On the way, she spots 3 mistakes in the picture below. Can you see them too? December 32nd doesn't exist. There's no green light at the traffic signal. And this trolley doesn't have any rails. Bella's boyfriend, Tyler, is performing a show with his dancing group at 11 p.m. Bella is a little late, so when she enters the nightclub, she sees Tyler and his crew on the stage. They're dancing in a straight line. At this very moment, Tyler is standing in the fourth position from both the front and back ends of the row. Can you figure out the number of dancers? There are 7 people in Tyler's dancing group, including himself. Tyler was the fourth from both ends, which means 3 dancers were at the front and at the back. After the performance, Bella is wandering around the club and sees these 2 guys in the VIP section. Can you tell who's fake? The guy on the left. His reflection doesn't say anything, but the guy on the right is wearing a suit and has some cash in his pocket, so he's probably just having a bad day. The next day, Bella receives an invitation to have dinner with Mr. Riddle. Bella agrees and arrives at his house in the evening. She enters the dining room and spots 4 weird things right away. Can you see them too? This candle has a purple flame. Someone is peeping through the eyes in this portrait. This fireplace burns without any wood. And finally, both hands of Mr. Riddle are left. During the dinner, Mr. Riddle tells Bella, "I'm so grateful for your work. I decided to give you a gift if you manage to crack my puzzle. So listen carefully. I can be broken, even if you never pick me up or touch me. What am I? Can you help Bella solve this mystery?" The correct answer is a promise. Bella cracks the riddle and receives the promised gift from Mr. Riddle. The gift has lots of keys, but it can never open a door. What is it? The correct answer is a piano. Bella enters Mr. Riddle's library. Suddenly, he locks the door. The windows are locked too, so Bella is trapped inside the room. She looks around and finds a secret exit.
Yes!
Can you see it too? Take a look at the floor. There's a door to the basement hidden under the carpet. In the basement, Bella finds a door that leads outside, but it's locked and requires a 5-digit password. Do you have any idea how to open it? The note on the wall has a hint. Each image contains a different number of colors. The rainbow has 7 colors, the cloud 1, the bird 4, and so on. So the correct password is 17421. Bella escapes from Mr. Riddle's house and gets lost in the woods. There are 3 possible ways to cross this area. Unfortunately, only one is safe. Can you guess which one? Bella should pick the second path to survive. Bella arrives at the nearest village in the mountains. She enters the local diner to call the police, but she regrets her decision as soon as she gets inside. Why? This is a vampire village. None of the customers eats anything. And also, she's the only person who casts any shadow here. Bella runs away to the mountains and finds 3 tunnels. Unfortunately, each path is hiding some danger. There's a cage with hungry lions behind the first door. The second tunnel is filled with gas that's very toxic for any human. And there's a giant dragon waiting inside the third tunnel. Can you help Bella choose the safest option? Bella should choose the first tunnel. The lions are in the cage, so she can just walk by and escape. Now Bella needs to cross a fast-flowing mountain river by jumping from stone to stone. She struggles with choosing the last step. Can you help her? Each stone has a particular number: 1, 2, 4, 7, 11, 16. This sequence is formed by adding the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Therefore, the remaining stone should be 16 plus 6. So Bella should choose the stone 22. Finally, Bella finds a highway. 3 people offer to give her a ride, but only one of these guys is reliable. Can you guess who? The second guy's car has no license plate and it's been painted recently, so the car is probably stolen. Take a closer look at the third guy's hand. He's a zombie, so Bella should choose the first guy. Bella arrives home and finds out that someone had robbed her apartment. She calls the police and questions 3 neighbors. Ryan says, "I think I heard weird noises from your apartment 2 hours ago, but I thought it was your TV." Peter says,
I noticed a suspicious delivery guy near your door about an hour ago when I was taking out the trash.
And Emma says, "I've just arrived from my business trip in London. I don't know what happened here." Who's lying? Peter said he took out the trash an hour ago, but he still has a full garbage can in front of his door. And the flies around it tell us that this bag has been here for a while. Therefore, he's a liar. The next day, Bella enters a supermarket to buy some food. The manager complains that someone had stolen a watermelon. Bella spots the thief right away. What about you? This fake basketball player is the thief. The ball shouldn't have any zip. Bella is walking down the street. She passes by 3 guys who are busy washing their cars. In a while, Bella realizes that her wallet is gone. She returns to the guys and asks, "Has anyone seen my wallet?" All 3 guys answer no, but one of them is a thief. Can you guess who? It's the guy on the left. The level of water in his bucket increased after he threw Bella's wallet into it. Bella approaches the parking lot and finds out that someone had stolen her car. She calls the police. The officers begin to chase the thief. The light over the license plate of Bella's car isn't working. Also, the police car has a faulty headlight. But eventually, the officers succeed in catching the thief and return the car to Bella. How did they manage to catch the criminal? Do you have any ideas? It was daytime, therefore they didn't need any headlights or lights over the license plate. Bella comes home and opens her fridge to grab some snacks. Right away, she begins to yell at her boyfriend.
Tyler, you ate my food again.
Tyler replies, "No, I didn't." Can you guess who's lying by looking at these 2 pictures? Tyler. He took these 5 items from the fridge.
Now Tyler runs an amusement park. He's having a job interview with these 3 clowns, but only one of them is not dangerous. Can you help Tyler hire the right person? The first clown doesn't cast a shadow, so he's probably a ghost. And the third clown is stealing money from the second clown's pocket, so he's a thief. Therefore, Tyler should hire the second clown. Peter and Holly are having their first date in the amusement park. They decide to ride the Tunnel of Love. At some point, it gets pretty dark inside the tunnel, and after the ride, Peter finds out that his wallet is gone. Tyler calls the police and questions 3 customers from nearby swan boats. Bella says, "I'm sorry, I filmed a video on my phone. I didn't look around." Tim says, "No way, bro, my wallet is gone too." And Lisa replies, "In the dark, I felt someone touching my bag. I pushed the attacker away." Can you spot the thief? It's Holly. Take a look at her bag. There are 2 wallets inside it, and here's one more in her pocket. Tyler receives a curious delivery. It has streets, but no pavement. It has cities, but no buildings. It has forests, but no trees. Also, it has rivers, yet no water. Can you guess what it is? It's a map. There are 3 bakeries in the park. Wendy has exactly $100 and she needs to buy 100 cupcakes. She must spend the money entirely. Also, Wendy must buy at least 1 cupcake from each bakery. The first shop is selling each cupcake at 5 cents. The second one is selling them at $1, and the third at $5. How many cupcakes should Wendy buy from each bakery? To fit the budget, Wendy should buy 80 cupcakes from the first shop, 1 cupcake from the second shop, and 19 cupcakes from the third shop. Brian decides to take a ride on the Ferris wheel. On his way up, someone suddenly throws ice cream right in his face. When the trip is over, he interviews 3 suspects. Zoe says, "I don't eat ice cream. I'm on a sugar-free diet." Peter says, "I didn't see anything, bro. I'm terrified of heights, so I kept my eyes closed the whole ride." And Fred says, "Sorry, I was streaming a video, so I didn't look around." Who is lying? Peter. If he's terribly afraid of heights, why would he ride the Ferris wheel? Brian is wandering around the park. Suddenly, someone approaches him from the back and grabs his phone. The thief is wearing a mask, so Brian can't see his face. The thief runs into a cafe and hides among the customers. Can you help Brian spot the criminal? It's this woman. She's hiding Brian's wallet in the menu. Tyler is walking down the street after a long work day. Suddenly, he pushes this lady. Can you guess why? Tyler saved her from getting hit by a car. Tyler keeps on walking and sees a group of ducks crossing the road. Can you count the exact number of ducks? $16. Tyler enters a jewelry shop where his girlfriend Mary works as a saleswoman. Unfortunately, he finds her unconscious on the floor. He calls doctors immediately. They figure out that Mary was poisoned. Tyler questions 3 witnesses. The cleaning lady says, "I was cleaning silver jewelry in the storage room." The guard said, "I was having a lunch break outdoors and talking with my friend." And the boss says, "I had a business meeting in another part of the city." Can you help Tyler figure out who poisoned Mary? Take a look at the hint that Mary left on the wall. It literally says that the boss did it. A few days later, Mary gets better and decides to prank Tyler. She brings 3 similar boxes to his house. There are 2 delicious cheesecakes in 2 boxes, and the remaining box contains dog food. Let's spin the boxes back and forth. Can you find the pranked box now? Aha! The second one. Tyler gets an urgent call from his assistant. Someone painted graffiti at a vegan restaurant in his park. Tyler interrogates 3 employees. The cleaner says, "I had an urgent call from my mother, so I went outside the restaurant to the backyard. When I returned, the graffiti was already there. The waitress says, I was taking an order. Suddenly, I looked out the window and saw a person in a black hoodie. He dropped a paint can and ran away. And the cook says, I was wearing my earphones and frying chicken wings in the kitchen, so I didn't notice anything suspicious. Who's lying? The cook. It's a vegan restaurant. Why would he fry chicken wings? After getting exposed, the cook pushes Tyler away and escapes from the restaurant. Tyler follows him. The cook hides in a carnival tent. He puts on a costume to blend in with the crowd. Can you help Tyler find him? There he is. It was raining heavily outside, so his shoes got wet. Tyler is walking around the park and spots 4 weird details. Can you see them too? This teddy bear has 3 ears. There's no July 34th. There's pink ice cream inside the chocolate ice cream box. And this old lady is carrying a crocodile in a stroller. There are 3 fortune tellers working in the amusement park: Zelda, Salma, and Freya. One of them is an imposter. Can you decide who? Salma has an earphone in her ear, which probably means that someone is helping her when she tells fate. Later that night, Tyler finds Zelda lying unconscious at her workplace. There's a weird note in her hand. Tyler calls the doctors and the police. He also finds out that Zelda had only 5 customers that night: Alex, Rick, Emma, Rose, and Zoe. Can you figure out who's guilty? Rose. There's a tricky hint hidden in this note. Q plus 1 is R, N plus 1 is O, R plus 1 is S, and D plus 1 is E. Tyler spends all morning in his office. Then he leaves it for a couple of hours to have lunch with Mary. When Tyler gets back, he finds out that someone had robbed him. How? These 6 items are missing. Tyler is checking out these clowns' makeup before their performance. Can you spot the odd one out? It's this guy. He's the only one who has eyebrows. What about these houses? Can you find the odd one out? Yup, it's this one. Tyler receives 4 new tents. Unfortunately, one of them has a slightly different design. Can you spot which one? The second tent doesn't belong here. Tyler wants to improve the scary tunnel, so he gathers all actors playing ghosts and monsters for a brief team building. But there are real monsters and ghosts among Tyler's employees. Can you spot them? This guy is too transparent for a human. He's a ghost. And huge claws cut through this guy's sneakers, so he's probably a werewolf. Tyler wins a cute teddy bear for Mary. They get distracted for a second and then see that the toy is gone. They look around and find 3 suspects. Can you guess who is a thief? Although this lady is holding a similar teddy bear, it still has a different bow. This guy is carrying a box, and judging by his posture, it's hard for him to carry it, so it's probably really filled with heavy stuff. And the third guy's guitar is outside the bag, which means he can be hiding the teddy bear inside the guitar case. Tyler throws an epic party at the amusement park. All guests are treated to free food and drinks. In the middle of the party, all the guests begin to fall asleep right on the dance floor. The next day, doctors check all the food and drinks from the party, and everything is perfectly fine. Can you guess what happened here? These balloons were filled with sleeping gas. In the middle of the party, they burst and made the guests fall asleep. Harry wakes up inside a simulated reality. An AI voice tells him that he needs to complete a series of tasks in order to get back to his normal life. 3 doors are projected in front of him. The first has a huge hammer that smashes anything that passes by it. The second door leads to a corridor filled with electric pipes. And behind the third door, there's broken glass all over the place. He has 2 seconds to choose one of the doors. Which one should he pick? He should choose the third door. Since he's wearing shoes, he'll be all right. He goes through that door and ends up in a cage. Inside, there are 3 rescue buttons. The red button will open the cage immediately, but it also simultaneously opens a cage with a hungry lion. The blue one will open the cage in 10 minutes, but it will also open hundreds of water pipes. The orange button will open the cage in 5 minutes, but it will also set the place on fire. Which of the buttons should he press? He should press the blue one. I mean, since it's a cage, it won't fill up with water. As soon as his cage opens, he is free to swim away. Then he finds himself at a crossroads. There are 3 different paths, and he needs to figure out which one to take. The first path is filled with smoking coal. The second path has frozen ice all over it. And the third path has pretty sharp nails. Which one should he choose? He should definitely choose the middle path. Even if the ice doesn't melt during daytime, it's pretty easy to go through it. It looks like Harry is doing pretty well, so the AI controlling the game decides to make the task a bit more difficult. It projects a scene where Harry is now in a hotel lobby. He has to figure out which of the lobby guys won't help him with his luggage. It's definitely the guy in the middle. If you look closely, the guy is transparent, which means he's probably a ghost. He can't touch physical stuff, so he won't be able to help Harry. Suddenly, the weekend in this virtual reality, and Harry is taken to a cabin in the mountains. There are 4 friends waiting for his arrival. They have a fun time, but at the end of the weekend, the cabin catches fire. One of his friends did it. Take a look at the image. Can you figure out who did it? It's the third guy to the right. He has a tiny gasoline bottle hanging from his belt. Harry suddenly appears in what looks like a wedding ceremony and discovers he's the one getting married. 2 women appear in front of him. They are dressed the same, but they both have their faces covered with veils. He needs to figure out who his true bride is. Can you help him out here? They look identical, but one of them already has a wedding ring. This can only mean that his true bride is the other lucky gal. For his next challenge, he's taken to a restaurant where a waitress shows him 4 glasses. Each glass is filled with the same liquid, water, and has an object inside of it. The waitress asks Harry which glass has more water than the rest. Take a look at the image. Can you figure out the correct answer? This shouldn't be too hard. The last glass is the one that has more water inside. The paperclip weighs almost nothing, while the other objects are way heavier. This means there is less water in all the other glasses. Harry's doing great thanks to you. Now, look at this image. There are 3 people about to parachute out of an airplane. Help Harry figure out who is in graver danger here. It's the first 2 people. You see, there's a heavy bottle in the last guy's backpack. If it falls down, it can break the other's parachutes. Uh-oh. Harry's stomach starts to growl after so much hard work, so he asks for some food. The AI controlling the game decides to create 2 chefs to bake him 2 different cakes. But here's the catch. Only one is safe to eat. Take a look at both of these delicious-looking cakes. Which one is safe? If you have a sharp eye, you'll know that the chef on the left is a fake, so you shouldn't eat his cake. The left chef has stains all over his shirt that look like blood. Plus, he doesn't have a badge on his shirt. He has a scratch over his eye, and he's hiding a syringe in his hand behind his back. There are just too many red flags here. Harry should go for the cake on the right. Well, it's time to take a nap, and Harry is taken to an old house. There are 3 rooms for him to choose from. Take a look at the picture. Which one should he choose? Well, so you see the hidden scenarios behind the curtains in the first room? That's a big no-no. As for the third room, notice how the AC is set to cold even though it's snowing outside. No to that, so he should definitely pick the second room. To sweeten things up a bit, Harry was enrolled into a baking competition. He was introduced to 3 judges, and they each told Harry what their favorite cake was. The first judge expressed his love for chocolate pies. Judge number 2 said he loved berry pies more than anything in the world. And Judge 3 said he was fond of pecan pies, also pronounced pecan. Harry immediately knew one of them was lying. Can you tell who? It was judge number 2. Do you see the chocolate stains and pie crumbles on the second judge's shirt? That could only mean he was enjoying a slice of chocolate pie before arriving at the competition venue. Harry needs to enter a new realm of the game, and for that, he needs to go through what looks like an airport. He didn't have any luggage with him, but he still needed to go through a security check. He went through the scanner, but he beeped every time he passed through it. Take a look at the image. Can you figure out what was making him beep so much? It was the necklace chain dangling from the pocket of his jacket. Good eye if you spotted that. Passing through the different realms, Harry spotted a nice bakery, then decided to stop for some more nourishment. There were 3 options to choose from: a cupcake, a chocolate croissant, and a gingerbread cookie. Can you guess which one he picked? You don't need to be a genius to see that Harry is using gingerbread cookie socks. He loves them so much, which is why that's his usual pick. Harry arrived at the gate of the new realm, and there were two creatures guarding it, a lion and a unicorn. There was a little sign saying that the lion lied on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Saturdays, and that the unicorn lied on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Sundays. Harry asked to get inside, and the lion said he needed to answer one of the riddles. He told Harry that he lied yesterday, and the unicorn said he also lied yesterday. Can you help Harry figure out which day of the week was yesterday? Well, let's see how this works. From what the magical creature said, they were both lying on the same day. So the only possible answer to this riddle is Saturday. If we consider yesterday was Saturday, that means the lion was telling the truth and the unicorn was lying. Finally, Harry completed all of his tasks and was allowed to go back home. Which of the three doors should Harry choose to get back home? Well, let's see. He should choose the door in the middle. It has a house emoji on it, which will probably take Harry directly back to the comfort of his home.
Take a look at this image for a second. Which prisoner do you think is rich? Let's see. It can't be the first guy since his food is partially rotten. It looks like the other inmates don't really like him, and he doesn't have a lot of power inside the prison. The second guy, while he looks super wealthy, his jewelry is actually fake. This leaves us with the last guy, and bingo, it's him! Look, he's got a laptop under his plate and a phone under his arm. He's the richest for sure. Susie was invited to take part in a pop-up riddle show. She needed to answer one question correctly to win $1,000. She was extremely nervous when the game show host asked her this question. How many numbers are on a clock? Can you help Susie figure out this one? The answer looks obvious, but it's not. You need to do some math. The correct answer is 15. It doesn't work if you simply stare at the clock and say there are 12 numbers. You see, the numbers 10, 11, and 12 are made up of smaller numerical numbers, so the correct way to count it would be in a clockwise fashion. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 1, 0, 1, and 1. Phew! A local thief was running around playing tricks on some neighborhood stores. On a Saturday morning, he walked inside Mrs. Buchanan's shop and stole a $100 bill from the counter when she wasn't looking. He grabbed a shopping cart and filled it with $70 worth of goods. He paid for everything with the $100 bill he had stolen and even got $30 back as change. How much money did the store owner lose in all of this? The shop owner just lost $100. I know it sounds too simple, but here's the deal. In total, the store owner lost $70 worth of merchandise, plus the $30 she gave as change. So yes, she lost $100. Maya was roaming through the multiverses when she ran into a gatekeeper guarding a green door. She said she needed to go through the door in order to access her original timeline, but the gatekeeper would only let through those who answered his riddle. He told her that some things can go through the green door while others cannot, and she needed to figure out what all of the things had in common. And then he tells her, "You can come through the door with a carton of eggs, but not with a box of donuts. You can pass through it with a gallon of skim milk, but not a quart of it. You can bring with you some bamboo, but not jade, orchids, philodendron, or ivy. Sadly, you can't come through with dogs and cats unless they're still puppies and kittens. Can you help Maya figure out the pattern in common with all of these things? Well, the key to solving this riddle can be found in all 4 of the words that make up the phrase green glass door, aka double letters. If something is spelled with double letters, it can go through the green glass door. If there are no double letters in its name, then it can't. Mark went to the farmer's market to do his weekly grocery shopping. He stopped by the egg stand, and the owner was feeling chatty, so he challenged Mark to guess the answer to a riddle. He told Mark,
If I had 4 eggs and a thief gave me 3, and my rooster laid 5 more, how many eggs do I have?
"Can you help Mark figure out the answer here?" I'll get one thing out of the way. It's not a simple math problem. It doesn't work if you just add everything up. But here's the first problem. Roosters don't lay eggs, so those eggs are out of the equation. And then if you read correctly, the man said, "If I had 4 eggs," which means that he had 0 eggs to begin with. So the correct answer is 3. The 3 eggs that the thief gave him. 4 prisoners from a high-security prison were taken to a deserted beach to do some community service. The warden wanted to have some fun, so he lined them up in a single-file line and separated prisoner A from the other 3 with the help of a brick wall. He gave each prisoner a hat, either black or white, without telling them which color they each got. In total, there were 2 black hats and 2 white hats. He told them that all prisoners would be sentenced to prison for life, except they could guess correctly which color of hat they had in under 10 minutes. The prisoners weren't allowed to confer with each other, and they weren't allowed to move around or change positions. They got super nervous, of course, but they had no other option than to play the game. Luckily, just before the clock struck 10 minutes, one of the prisoners guessed correctly their hat color. Can you guess which prisoner it was? P.S. There is only one correct answer. If you guessed prisoner C, then you got it right. Let's see why. This riddle can only be solved through a process of elimination, and 2 of the prisoners, prisoners A and B, can be eliminated right off the bat. That's because neither one of them can see any of the other prisoners, so neither possesses any information with which to make a more certain guess. That just leaves us prisoners C and D. When prisoner D remains silent and doesn't take a guess, prisoner C deduces his own hair color. He deduces that he and prisoner B must be wearing different colored hats. And since prisoner B was wearing a white hat, he guessed he is wearing a black hat. Yikes! This fried my hat off. Betty was in her last year of high school and she decided to take photography as an extracurricular activity. For her latest assignment, she needed to take an urban picture and present it to the class. However, since Betty was also organizing a big graduation trip, she didn't have time to do the assignment. Instead, she decided to Photoshop an image and show it in class. The teacher and students immediately saw that the picture wasn't real. How could they tell? Well, because that person over there has 2 heads. It looks pretty cool, but that's kind of a difficult phenomena to find here on this planet. Three people decided to spend their vacations in Antarctica. Bianca had some trouble with the harsh weather, but felt it was worth it in the end. Pablo had a great time photographing the penguins for his social media page. And Helena got to do some fishing while she was there. On the last day of their trip, passing through airport security, one of them got caught trying to take a penguin with them in their backpack. Take a look at the picture. Can you tell who it was? Let's see what we have here. Well, is that a penguin's feet poking out of Helena's backpack? It sure is. Guess she did more than just fishing during her vacation. Yikes! December 5th is Bloomfield Town's Contest Day. For this year, the mayor picked bakery as the theme, so contestants needed to bake the best dessert to win. The only rule was that the bakers couldn't use sugar in their recipes, only natural sweeteners. When the mayor went to judge the 4 finalists and pick the best dessert, he immediately disqualified one of the bakers, saying they had cheated. And he did that without even tasting the desserts. Take a look at the contestants and see if you can spot the cheater. Look at the third woman in the row. Her cake is literally covered in powdered sugar. She was disqualified because she broke the no sugar rule. Mr. and Mrs. Luce have 7 daughters. Each daughter has 1 brother. Can you tell how many people there are in the family? The correct answer is 10. Mr. Luce, Mrs. Luce, 7 daughters, and 1 brother. Dr. Luce is a world-famous chemist.
Wow.
He has just arrived in London to attend an international science seminar. The next morning, the lab cleaner found Dr. Luce unconscious on the floor. One of the 6 lab assistants poisoned the chemist. The names of the 6 assistants are Austin, William, Oscar, Leo, DJ, and Robert. To solve this case, lab managers called the local detective, Mr. Smith. Dr. Luce left this mysterious note on the table. Here's what he wrote: 76, 20, 44, 79, 16, 22, 7. After reading the note, Mr. Smith asked the police to arrest 2 criminals. Who are the criminals? Oscar and Dustin. Remember that Dr. Luce is a chemist? He encrypted the names of his enemies using the periodic table hanging on the wall. Dr. Luce got better and returned to his work in the lab. He invited a young scientist, Oscar, for a job interview. His resume was too good to be true, so Dr. Luce decided to check Oscar's logical thinking. He offered Oscar to solve this number puzzle. Oscar cracked this task right away. What about you? Here's a little hint. You should read this puzzle from left to right and from top to bottom. Question 1. What are the next 2 rows of numbers? And question 2. Why? Here's the correct answer. Line 3 represents 2 1s. Line 4 then becomes 1 2 and 1 1. Line 5, therefore, is 1 1, 1 2, and 2 1s. Using the same logic, we can now decode line 6, 3 1s, 2 2s, and 1 1. Line 7 is 1 3, 1 1, 2 2s, and 2 1s. Dr. Luce hired Oscar and took him to the basement of the lab, but someone has changed the password on the door. Can you help the guys guess the code? This rebus is a hint. The correct password is summary. Dr. Luce offered one more riddle to his new employee.
How can a man go 8 days without sleep?
Can you help Oscar crack this one? The correct answer is easily, because people sleep at night. In the basement, Dr. Loose found out that someone had stolen his latest innovation, a superhero costume.
Oh no!
He had questioned 3 suspects. Jack, the cleaner, said,
I've been cleaning the floor in the hallway all morning. I haven't entered your office yet.
Peter, the lab assistant, said, I was working on my own project, and besides, I don't have a key to your private office. And Dr. Loose's wife, Helen, said, You never tell me anything about your work. How would I know what to steal? Dr. Loose took fingerprints from the closet where the costume was. But he found only his own fingerprints. Who stole the costume? It was Helen. She's the only one who's wearing gloves.
Oh,
After a short interrogation, Helen confessed that she had sold the costume to Dr. Loose's major enemy, Dr. Phillips. Dr. Loose went to his lab to take his invention back. A creepy guard stopped Dr. Loose at the entrance and asked for a password. Can you help Dr. Loose find out the code? See the sign on the wall? You should rearrange these letters to spell just a single word. So, the correct password is a single word. Dr. Loose entered the building and found himself in a strange place guarded by 2 people. One of the guards always says the truth, while the other one always lies. Dr. Loose doesn't know who is who. He can only ask one question to escape. What should he ask? If he asks the guard who always tells the truth, he would tell that the other guard would point to the dangerous door. And if he asks the guard who always lies, he would tell the opposite door of the truth-telling guard and point to the dangerous door. In either case, both guards will point to the dangerous door, and then Dr. Loose should just choose the other door. Dr. Loose entered the room and saw this group of scientists. Can you spot anything weird in this picture? The scientists are holding 4 slices of pizza in their hands, but only 3 pieces are missing from the pizza box. Dr. Loose entered Dr. Phillips's office. The room was empty. Can you help him find anything suspicious? Someone is hiding in the ceiling vent. Suddenly, Dr. Loose saw Dr. Phillips flying around in the superhero costume. He grabbed Dr. Loose, took him to the top of a mountain, and left him there alone. Dr. Loose wandered around and found 3 tunnels. There's an angry, hungry lion in the first tunnel. There's a huge fire in the second tunnel. And the third tunnel leads through a dinosaur lair. Which way should Dr. Loose choose? The third one. Dinosaurs became extinct millions of years ago. Dr. Loose came to a village and asked the local farmer, Rick, for a glass of water. Rick told him that he'd been struggling to divide his entire land between his 2 sons. Both of the sons have been very good to him, and now Rick's only wish is to treat his sons fairly and divide his land equally between them. But the problem is that the land has a weird shape, and thus there's no way to split it into 2 equal halves. Dr. Loose said,
I have an idea. It can guarantee that the land will be divided in a manner that will satisfy both sons.
Can you guess what's on his mind? All Rick needs to do is ask one of his sons to divide the land into 2 parts and tell him that the other son will have the choice of selecting one of those 2 halves. In this manner, both of them will avoid any tricks and divide the land equally. Dr. Loose was sitting at the local restaurant. He was sad because he'd lost his wallet during his adventures. He noticed a man next to him pulling a wad of $100 notes out of his pocket. Dr. Loose turned to the rich guy and said,
Hey, I have an amazing talent. I know almost every song that has ever existed.
The rich guy laughed. Dr. Loose then said,
I'm willing to bet you all the money you have in your wallet that I can sing a genuine song with a lady's name of your choice in it.
The rich man laughed again and said, Okay, how about my wife's name? Helga Fiona Mary Rose Holmes. This evening, the rich man went home poor, and Dr. Loose went home rich. What song did he sing? The Happy Birthday Song. The villagers told Dr. Loose mystical legends about the local forest. He liked creepy stories and decided to go there and see it for himself. He set off at night and soon got to the forest. He noticed a small shop nearby. The seller said, "Hey bro, don't go to this forest unequipped. Take this magic potion. It will make any creepy monster fall asleep for 10 hours. Dr. Loose took one bottle and continued the journey. He wandered there for several hours, but he didn't see anything mysterious. Dr. Loose was about to leave right before dawn. Someone appeared in front of him. A pair of vampires that feed on humans and a siren who hunts people using her singing. So there are 3 enemies, but Dr. Loose has only one potion. What should he do? The sun will rise in a few seconds and vampires will run away. That's why he should pour the potion at the siren. Dr. Loose found an abandoned castle. As soon as he entered, someone locked the door. Dr. Loose found 3 ways out, but all of them were dangerous. The first path was full of hungry wolves. It was impossible to get through. The second passage was guarded by 5 vacuum cleaner robots that were reprogrammed to hunt down humans. And the third passage was filled with molten lava. What door should he choose? The second one. The vacuum cleaners might go after him, but they're pretty harmless. Finally, Dr. Loose returned to his hometown. He's also a college teacher. Unfortunately, he didn't have enough time to prepare for the upcoming class. Therefore, he offered the students this tricky lesson. There was no homework, assignments, or tests, but there was a final test that would have only one question on it. When everyone received the test, it was a blank sheet of paper with a question on it. What is risk? Most students managed to give their answers, but only one student deserved the highest grade.
Yes!
That's weird because he only wrote down one word. What did he write? His reply was this. Dr. Loose went on a business trip to Vienna. He felt very nervous because he was about to meet a lady he used to date in college, Jane. She's also a scientist who's currently working on immortality pills. That's why she asked Dr. Loose to come over and help her. As soon as he entered her office, he knew that something had gone wrong. 3 zombies were standing in the room. Can you tell which one is his ex-girlfriend? Take a look at Dr. Loose's hand. He has a tattoo, T plus J. So his girlfriend is the second zombie because she has a tag on her foot that says Jane.
Lewis returns home after sunbathing on a beach. He turns on the stove to make an omelet. Sometime later, while he's having breakfast, someone knocks on his door. Several men introduce themselves as maintenance workers. They tell Lewis about a gas leak in his apartment and ask him to evacuate immediately. Lewis slams the door in their faces and calls the police. He's sure these guys are thieves. Why would Lewis think that? He fried his eggs on the electric stove, not a gas one. Thieves wanted to lure him out of his apartment and steal his stuff. 6 people got stuck on a desert island. They know a helicopter will arrive in a few hours, but they need to eat something now. They have a pot, a bottle of fresh water, and 5 potatoes. They cook them and are about to have dinner. But first, they need to divide 5 potatoes of different sizes and shapes among 6 people. And the food should be distributed equally. How can they do it? Easy. They should just prepare mashed potatoes. One famous film director loved it when people spoke about him, even if it was something negative. Once, he made a terrible movie. The man wanted people to hate it. Critics and viewers called his movie bad, unacceptable, ridiculous, and embarrassing every day. And the director enjoyed it. A couple of years later, in an interview, he asked a journalist, "So, what do you think about my latest movie?" The journalist replied shortly, but his answer offended the director. What did the journalist say? I don't remember it. Three girls met in a cozy restaurant to discuss an upcoming party. Jessica ordered a lot of food. Sarah asked for cherry juice. Lucy took an apple out of her bag and started eating it. The waiter brought the juice and the ordered food and left. Sarah started sipping her drink from the glass, but Jessica didn't touch her meal at all. Someone's not human. But who? It's the waiter. Did you see that his hands were covered with scales and his pupils looked like those of a snake? A traveler is walking through a dense Amazon jungle. He's looking for a unique artifact that once belonged to an ancient tribe. If his mission is successful, he'll sell his find for millions of dollars. He comes out of the jungle into a wide clearing and sees two caves. They're both filled with traps, but only one of them contains the treasure. The traveler's sure he'll be able to deal with all the dangers, but only if he chooses the right cave. Which cave should he opt for? The right cave. See, the entrance is overgrown with cobwebs. This means that no one's been there for a very long time. All the other treasure hunters entered the left cave, and they never came back. Mark's friends invited him to a picnic. He arrived at the place, walked around the house, and saw a group of 8 people. None of them was his friend. It was the wrong house. Before leaving, Mark noticed that 3 people in that group were androids. Can you spot them? That guy is pouring a drink from a gasoline container. Smoke is coming out of this elderly lady's head because of a short circuit. And this girl is charging her phone through a cable connected to her neck. After a shipwreck, Jack found himself on a desert island. He built a raft and equipped it with small sails that he took from the ruined ship. Jack couldn't sail far from the shore because there was no wind. A few days later, he noticed a ship. It was approaching the island, but its wind-filled sails were facing the opposite direction. According to the laws of physics, it should be sailing away from the island. Besides, there was no wind. So how is it possible that the ship was getting closer to the shore? The ship was equipped with a motor. Richard is walking through the forest barefoot because some monkeys have stolen his shoes. He's cold and hungry. Fortunately, he spots a hut. Smoke is coming out of the chimney, and light is shining through the windows. 3 paths lead to the house. The first is covered with red-hot coals, and there are loads of rusty nails on the second one. And the third path is littered with broken glass. Yikes! Which way should Richard choose? It's cold, so Richard can wait until the coals cool down. And while he's waiting, he can warm up next to them. Toby has been wandering through the desert for several hours. The sun's burning his neck. There's nothing but hot sand around. He's run out of all the water he had. Toby gets weaker and weaker, and finally, he falls down. At this moment, he sees 2 tiny ponds. Toby only has enough strength to get to one of them. Which of these ponds is a mirage, and which is real? The left pond is real. See the clouds above it? It rained there, and the rainwater formed the pond. At the edge of the forest, quite far from the village, there was an old house. Its owner found his TV broken in the morning. Someone had smashed the screen. The owner called everyone who had been in the house that night: a cook, a cleaning lady, and a lawyer. "Who broke my TV?" the man asked. I was cooking dinner. I didn't touch anything, the cook said. I was cleaning the basement, the cleaning lady answered. I was upstairs. I spent the whole night studying the documents, the lawyer replied. One of them is lying. Who is it? The lawyer. He said he was upstairs, but it's a one-story house. He couldn't be studying the documents on the roof all night. Tom has lost his car keys. He's searched every corner in every room, but hasn't found them. The guy goes to the farthest room, looks at the floor, and realizes the keys are hanging on the chandelier. How does Tom know that? The floor is reflective. An elderly philosophy teacher began an exam. His students were sitting in their seats, listening to him.
Here's a task for you. Prove that everything that happens around me is real, and I'm not sleeping. Whoever writes the most convincing proof will get the highest points.
The students had been writing for several hours, but almost no one got a good grade, except for one girl. She wrote an essay consisting of several words. What did she put on paper? You can't read this if you're asleep. By the way, you can use this tip while sleeping. It's almost impossible to read anything in a dream. Therefore, to find out whether you're asleep or not, look at your phone and try to read something. There was an old haunted house in town. Local people were afraid to go there, but one day, 3 girls and 2 boys decided to check that place out and record whatever was happening there. They approached the scary building, but one guy, Rob, refused to come in. He said he would wait for his friends outside. The rest of the group went into the house. Rob was nervous. After waiting for them for a few minutes, he was ready to call someone for help. But all 4 girls and 1 boy returned at this moment. Rob realized there were ghosts in the house and ran away from there. How did he know that? Three girls and 1 boy were in the house, but 5 people came out. 1 girl was a spirit. Rob saw her and ran away. Michael is walking along the sidewalk, holding his hands behind his back. A car appears from around the corner behind him. At this moment, Michael is walking near a big puddle. The driver accelerates. He's going to splash the water all over Michael. But at the last moment, he suddenly slows down and drives around the puddle. Why didn't he drench Michael? Michael was carrying a brick behind his back. The driver was afraid that Michael would throw it at his car, so he didn't drive over the puddle. Alexandra is walking around an old castle. There are lots of portraits of kings and queens on the walls. The corridor is lit by candles. Alexandra goes down to the first floor, where several people are dancing. The girl feels as if she has somehow traveled to the previous century. But wait a minute, this is all fake. How did the girl understand that? A hidden camera is installed in the corner of the hall. Also, that dancing girl has a smartwatch on her wrist. See? It's morning. Bob leaves his house and goes to the beach. The sun is peeking over the horizon. The sea is calm. There's no wind. Bob sits down on the sand, closes his eyes, and begins to meditate. Several people come up to Bob and sit down next to him to meditate too. Bob opens his eyes, sees them, and realizes that something's wrong with these people. But what? Look at Bob, and now at how these people are sitting. They aren't touching the sand. Their bodies are half an inch above the ground. Okay, now let's check and see how many correct answers you got. 0 to 3 points. Don't get upset. There's no need to try to find stuff everywhere. Sometimes you just need to trust your intuition. 4 to 7 points. More practice, more riddles, more logical tasks. And next time, you'll definitely get better results. 8 to 11 points. Oh, not bad. But sometimes you probably were inattentive. 12 to 15 points. Wow, nobody can fool you. You can always figure out the truth. You're great, but not the best of the best yet. 16 points. Whoa! You are the king of riddles. You always remain attentive to details. And also, you have awesome intuition.
Hey, dear detective. It's time you apply your skills to solve the toughest brain teasers we've got. Look at these hands. All of them seem to belong to wealthy people. But it's just an illusion. Your first case is to figure out which person is indeed rich. Have you noticed the brand names on the accessories on the left and the right hands are misspelled? These luxury items must be fake. As for the hand in the middle, it's decorated with a real gold bracelet. It most likely belongs to a rich person. Now, look at these travelers and their bags very attentively. Can you spot a smuggler? Why would a blind person need a flashlight in his luggage? That's suspicious. He must be the criminal we're looking for. Which of these people is poor? Pay attention to the guy with an iPhone. The apple on the back is whole, which means the phone is fake. How about these people? Who is richer? The man on the left looks like a rich businessman, but he might be pretending. At the same time, the guy with green hair looks very casual. But he's holding a brand new laptop and expensive headphones. He's likely to be richer. Can you figure out which of these athletes is poor? It must be the blonde guy who's wearing a fake Adidas shirt. Or should I say, a Bebas. You wake up in a room with 3 doors. Suddenly, someone starts knocking on each of them. You come up to each door in turn and sneak a peek through the peephole. Behind each door, there's a police officer. Do you know which door is safe to open? You can open the 3rd door without any worries. The first man doesn't show his badge and has a knife tucked under his belt. The second man has weird stars on his uniform. As for the 3rd police officer, he is the only one with identical stars on his hat and badge without any hidden weapon. He's your safest option. These people look homeless, but one of them isn't poor. Who is it? Look at the guy with a cart. He's got car keys. Now this task is tough. Which of these ladies doesn't have a lot of money? Think twice before answering. The lady in pink buys only those clothes that are on sale. She might be poor. Doris was having a beach vacation with her friend Teresa. One morning, the young women were sunbathing near the water. Teresa went to a cafe to get some lemonade while Doris went swimming. When she came back, she saw that her smartphone, which she had left on her beach towel, was gone. She asked a man sunbathing nearby if he had seen her smartphone. He answered that he'd been sleeping the whole time. At this moment, Teresa came back with the lemonade. She looked around and immediately understood where Doris's phone was. Who took it? It was the neighbor. Before the accident, the spade was lying on his left. Now it's on the right. There's also a suspicious pile of sand near the spade now. The man must have hidden the phone in the sand, hoping to dig it out later. Look at these guys attentively. One of them is not living alone. Who is it? The man on the right. He's got 2 toothbrushes. Joe had a friend, Randy, who never answered questions directly. Once, Joe sent Randy a message inviting him to join their common friends in a cafe. Randy's answer was kinda weird. Sorry, no money. Job and job. Luckily, Joe knew his friend well enough to understand what he meant. But can you figure it out? Randy meant he had no money because he was in between jobs. Terry invited his friend Alice, who was studying to become a police officer, to a party. It was organized by his friend Sean. Terry was worried that there could be a thief at this party. Throughout the event, Alice was watching the guests attentively. At the end of the party, she told Terry who the thief was. Have you figured it out? It's the host, Sean. At the beginning of the party, one of the guests had a watch on his wrist, and this woman had a beautiful necklace. But at the end of the party, the watch was already on Sean's wrist, and the necklace was in the flower pot. The police were informed that one of the most wanted criminals, Carl Walker, was going to arrive in the country. According to this information, the man was going to come by plane. Unfortunately, the police knew very little about him. He was short, wearing glasses, and traveling under a false name. Detective Adams went to the airport. He detained 4 people who fit the description. They were Mr. Lewis, Mr. Relkoff, Mr. Taylor, and Mr. Wilson. Can you figure out who the criminal is? It's Mr. Relkoff. His last name is actually the criminal's last name, Walker, but with its letters mixed. Austin, a rich businessman, brought very important documents to his office, but he had a meeting and needed to leave for several hours. Austin asked his secretary to be super attentive. His competitors could try to break into his office to look at the documents. When he came back, his secretary told him everything had been quiet. But when the man looked around, he realized someone had been inside his office. The secretary eventually admitted having fallen asleep while Austin was away. How did the businessman understand someone had visited his office? The globe on his desk is now turned in the opposite direction. You're trapped in a room with no doors or windows. All of a sudden, the room starts filling with water. You check everywhere but can't find any way to turn it off. You know that help is on the way, but it's still at least 5 minutes until their arrival. You only have 2 minutes. After that, the entire room will be flooded. Obviously, you can't hold your breath for 3 minutes. You've got 3 objects, but only one of them can save your life. What should you choose? A straw, a rope, or an empty bucket? You should opt for the bucket. Put it on your head. This will create an air pocket, and you'll be able to breathe for a couple of minutes until help arrives. Carter had a fast and successfully developing company until his main investor went bankrupt. Upset, Carter went to visit his best friend Justin, who was a coffee shop owner. Justin told him that a rich businessman visited his cafe almost every day. He was there that day too. The man was very secretive and didn't have any social media accounts. Justin told Carter to go and introduce himself and pointed towards the back of the coffee shop. The guy went there and saw 3 men, but he didn't ask his friend which one was the wealthy entrepreneur. He looked at the men attentively. Can you figure out which one he needs? It isn't the guy in the middle. He has a dollar store bag. The one on the right could be rich, but he's recording an Instagram story. And the businessman isn't active on any social media. This means the man Carter needs is on the left. 3 friends agreed to hang out together on a Friday night. One of them, Brian, was tasked with bringing pizza. But the guy was running extremely late. His friends were starving. Strangely, Brian wasn't picking up their calls. But in an hour or so, he sent them a selfie. In the photo, he was standing next to his car. In the following message, he wrote he had run out of gas. He was at a gas station filling up his car. But his friends didn't believe Brian's excuses. Why? In the picture, it's clearly seen that the guy has an electric car. It doesn't need gas. Several birds landed on trees, 1 bird for 1 tree. But in this case, one of them didn't have a tree of its own. Then they regrouped, with 2 birds sitting on 1 tree. After this, 1 tree was left. How many birds and trees are there? There are 4 birds and 3 trees. Look at these 4 people in a grocery store. Can you figure out who's going to steal a watermelon? It's the man with a soccer ball. It seems as if he's holding something heavy. It must be the watermelon disguised as a soccer ball. You wake up and find yourself in a locked room without windows and only 1 door. You look around and notice a table. There's a piece of paper, a knife, and several inflated balloons lying on it. You pick up the note. It reads,
To get out of here, you must puncture a balloon with a knife. But if the balloon bursts, you'll stay here forever.
What should you do to make a hidden door open in one of the walls? You should deflate one of the balloons. After that, you can easily puncture it with a knife. You're walking along the beach and spot an expensive-looking watch in the sand. There are only 3 other people on the beach. Who does the watch belong to? This guy's watch is in his pocket. The tan line on this girl's wrist doesn't match the shape of the watch. The watch must belong to this elderly lady. You've got a sack filled with coffee beans. You need to use this coffee to completely fill 2 other sacks of the same size. How do you do it? Put 1 empty sack into the other and fill them with coffee. 3 young men came to a coffee shop to prepare for their final exam. A waiter came up to them and asked,
Does everyone want coffee?
The first guy said, I don't know. The second man answered, Nah, I don't know. And the third one answered, Yes. Can you figure out what the first 2 guys ordered? All young men ordered coffee. Each of them wanted to have this drink, but the first 2 couldn't know if it would be everyone's choice. If the first 2 guys hadn't wanted coffee, they'd have simply said no. So when the third guy heard his friend's replies, he figured out that both of them wanted coffee. And since he was going to get a cup, he said yes. You have to think outside the box to crack this one. 1 is to 3 as 3 is to 5, and 5 is to 4. And 4 is the magic number. Can you figure out the pattern? The word 1 has 3 letters, the word 3 has 5, and the word 5 has 4 letters. But the word 4 has 4 letters in it, and whatever number you try, eventually you'll come back to 4, and the game will end there. Vincent got locked in a room with no windows and only one massive door. There's a panel with several buttons on the left and another one with a hint on it on the right. There's also a clock on the wall above the door. Which button should Vincent press to get out of the trap? The green triangle. The numbers on the panel represent hours. If you connect them on the clock face, you'll get a triangle. Add this number to the same one and multiply the result by 4. Then divide it by 8 and you'll have the very first number again. What number is it? It can be any number. You can try it out to make sure. Look at these women attentively. Which one seems to be suspicious? It's the one on the right. The woman on the left was just adding some ketchup to her dish. See that bottle? But look at the pie the woman on the right is holding. There's a smartphone peeking out of the pie. What's it doing there? It's very suspicious. The police knocked on Michael's door late in the evening. They had a search warrant. They accused the man of stealing a big sum of money from a supermarket. Mike claimed that he hadn't left the house all day, but one of the detectives saw something in his living room, and it led to the man's arrest. What was it? Look at the date on the receipt lying on the table. It's the same as the date on the calendar, which means Michael lied about not leaving his house that day. Look at these guys attentively. Can you tell which one has drawn the graffiti? It's the guy on the left. He has some spray paint on his hoodie. An ant is 2 inches away from its home. With every next step, it covers half the distance to the entrance. How many steps will the insect have to take to reach its destination? The ant will never reach the door because every time it'll travel only half the distance. Now, how about solving some rebus riddles? This is the first one for you. High, 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 high. That's high five. The next one, noon good. What's this? That's how you greet people. Good afternoon. Okay, now try this one. Way, progress. It's progress underway. Now let's check how attentive you are. Try to figure out what's wrong in the following images. There's no way anyone can wear those blue shoes. They're both left ones. How about this one? This horse looks rather natural among kangaroos, but it doesn't belong there. What's wrong in this picture? Why would a barn have a chimney? I suspect something is missing in this picture. Can you figure out what exactly? The bus doesn't have side mirrors and windshield wipers. Detective Lucas was called to investigate an accident. A car crashed into a store window and smashed the glass. There are two suspects. Both of them denied their involvement. Detective Lucas doesn't need much time to figure out who the culprit is. Do you know the answer too? It's the owner of the blue car. The pattern on its tires is the same as in front of the store. Detective Brown was having her morning coffee in a cafe when she heard a car screeching to a halt, then some loud shouting. She ran outside and spotted a man on the ground. His bicycle was lying nearby. There was also a car sitting next to the man. Detective Brown helped the cyclist up. The car driver came up to them. The cyclist exclaimed, "He hit my bike with his car, making me crash." But the driver answered, "I saw him losing control of his bike in the mirror. I left my car to check on him." Detective Brown immediately understood who was lying. Can you figure it out? Strangely, the car doesn't have side mirrors, and all that stuff in the back seat blocks the view of the road, so the driver couldn't have seen anything in his rearview mirror either. He's lying. A man wearing a hat, a bandana covering his face, and dark sunglasses robbed a bank. The police have 3 suspects. Look at them and try to figure out which one is the criminal. Usually, people tie bandanas under their ears. But in this case, the bandana covers the robber's ears. It probably hides something that distinguishes the man from other people. The criminal must be that man with only one ear. When Louisa entered the office, she noticed that her colleague Anna was very upset. It was the beginning of the working day, but someone had already stolen her purse. Only those who worked in the company could get into the office. Louisa questioned her colleagues. Maria, who worked in IT, said she'd been fixing somebody's computer. Jane, the secretary, answered she'd been on the phone with some clients. Andrew, a sales manager, said,
"I've just returned from a 3-hour-long meeting. I'm exhausted."
Can you figure out who took the purse? Andrew! The working day's just started. How could he come back from such a